What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back here with another video. Today, Todd McShay's mock just dropped. So I believe it's his 3.0 mock because I think we've judged 2 of his so far. So I'm excited. If you guys are new, hit the like button, comment, subscribe. You know all that jazz. And honestly, don't really want to do too long of an intro here. I want to get into some fun content, guys. So let's have some fun. Let's enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed the past 2 days with Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy, coming on and doing the back and forth mock. We should do it where it's the other way around, and I'm going to be choosing the NFC sometime, but don't judge that too soon. We'll have that in the future, but not anytime in the near future. And I want to let you guys know that in about 3 weeks from Sunday, we are going to be doing another fan mock. So for you guys who haven't joined the Discord, join it, enjoy it, and we have a great community there. We have over 70 people so far, which I was at like 16 like 2 months ago. So the fact it's like what? And actually no, it was like a month ago we had like 16. So the fact that you guys have all joined that and then are participating is awesome. We still have some teams that could probably use a couple GMs. Just saying. So if you guys are knowledgeable, want to be participating in the next fan mock, hit me up because I mean it's always fun. You might not be able to make it in with how many people have signed up, but you'll always get a shot at it. So I hope you guys do enjoy that. But let's get into this video. And starting off with the number 1 pick, we're just gonna stop talking about Trevor Lawrence here. It's just a guaranteed deal. And, if you guys want to hear my ideas on Trevor Lawrence, just go into every single video I probably ever made, and you guys will understand that. But the next pick, Jets are moving off Sam Darnold and taking Zach Wilson. So I wanted to do one on Mel Kiper's mock because we'll get into that. But for today, I just wanted to get something that's really fresh, really raw out there, and that's obviously Todd McShay's mock. So looking at this pick right here, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think Zach Wilson. Mel thinks it's a sideways move. I think it's a big ascension, especially given the fact that Sam Darnold's going to be owed probably 25 mil a year within what 1.5 years. Like I don't even know. They probably will have to re-sign him before that. So there's some big question marks around Sam, and Zach Wilson is somebody who, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Chargers are not pissed off that they took a shot on Justin Herbert. Take a shot at Zach Wilson. He's a really good prospect, and I love him a lot. He, to me, I believe is my number 4 or 3 prospect in the draft, factoring in Kyle Pitts and Penny Sewell at the top. But huge fan of Zach Wilson. Really good talent there. Next, we got a trade that Carolina jumps up with the Miami Dolphins to select Justin Fields. Now, on the Panthers side, I'm a huge fan of this. Huge fan of this. If you're able to move up, I don't care if it takes you a potential 2022 first round pick. But I mean, if you're able to do that for 2 firsts and just move up and, select your guy, I mean, you're just sacrificing 1 first. You're not sacrificing 2 firsts. You're sacrificing 1 first in the future because you're going to take a guy with this pick anyways, or with your first round pick anyways, and you're just going to get a worse guy. So for this pick, you're giving up 1 extra pick, and that to me is probably perfectly fine. I don't mind this at all. But for the Dolphins, I think that again, if you want to invest in Tua, you have to protect him. And they're the number 2 guy on my board. He could be even number 1. I might even move him there if I study him a little bit more in depth. Penny Sewell's on the board. And I just don't think you take the chance of moving down. I don't care how many firsts you get, your team's ready to win now. You make sure that it's fully built to win now. And you're pretty much sacrificing that for extra draft capital that you probably don't really need. I'm going to be honest. You guys don't need it. You don't need another first rounder. If you get 1 Penny Sewell, your entire line is fixed. Literally, 1 guy can just change everything. So I'm a fan of it for Carolina, just not for the Dolphins. And I hope to God they don't do that in the real draft. Next, we got the Falcons getting Trey Lance. So if I'm not mistaken, we had 4 quarterbacks go straight. So it's it's pretty interesting to say the least. But I'm not a fan of the Falcons getting Trey Lance. It's like what I think in most drafts you can get the 4th best quarterback. You're tied to Matt Ryan at least for 2 years. So I mean, I'm just not a fan of Trey. I just really don't like him. And if the Falcons could trade down for a team that really wants Trey Lance, I think that'd be a lot better because there's a lot of old talent on the Falcons. They have a lot of weapons, but they have a lot of old talent that, I mean, you could probably use an infusion of youth if you get 2 firsts. Like, let's just say let's throw a random team out there. The Vikings, Washington football team. If those teams want to move up and will offer 2 firsts, maybe a couple seconds as well, that, I mean, your team needs to get weapons. It needs to get like running back. It needs to get maybe another offensive lineman, even though the offensive line is developing well. You need to get a quarterback in the future, which of course you don't always want to have to take a shot on somebody. I feel like Trey Lance is a little bit similar to Jordan Love, except we haven't seen him throw the picks. It's like I don't like the idea of taking the fourth best quarterback at 4. I know that the value of the other positions in this draft are pretty mediocre, but even if you traded back one spot, let's just say you traded back with Cincinnati, who really wanted to get Sewell. They're like, oh shit, we might as well trade up for Sewell here. And then that's gonna be great. You need more draft capital because this team definitely isn't built. You have 2 safeties that are gone. Your corner core is not the greatest in the world. And you could use maybe one, you can use a pass rusher or two. So your team is not ready to be built for a guy like Trey Lance to just sit and like wait. You have a guy Matt Ryan you can compete with. You could be okay with him. But there's a lot more problems that I think you need to fix the holes before you kind of get your guy to sit. I don't know. It seems a little bit counterintuitive because we're not dropping Trey Lance in day 1. And this is a great location for him. I would love this location under the condition that they did not get him at 4. It's too poor a value for not a great player. His potential's through the roof, but again, I mean, Arthur Smith's, I guess, the best guy to go here. Like, if you really want somebody, you go with Arthur Smith. So I'm not a fan of it, but I mean, I can understand why. That's the thing. I'm starting to be able to understand why people do this. So next, we got the Bengals getting Sewell. Like, don't need to talk about that. That's a freaking amazing deal. Now you have Jonah Williams as well as Penei Sewell as your bookend tackle. Did I say Jonah Williams? I think I might have said something else. But Jonah Williams and Penei Sewell as your tackles. That's a pretty good duo. Eagles getting Kyle Pitts. You guys know me. I'm now a fan of this, even over Jamar Chase. I think Pitts, the ability to, I mean, obviously you brought in the OC from Florida as your quarterback's coach. You guys are trying to train him to become an offensive coordinator. If you guys try to disagree with that, you guys don't understand where like the coaching trees usually like they develop. It's usually the quarterback's coaches that become the OCs. So if you really think that might just be a 1-year test with a guy like their offensive coordinator from Florida, then Pitts seems to be the most logical option. Again, look at Sirianni. He likes to run 2 tight end sets. Zach Ertz might be dealt by next year. Again, Marcus didn't think so, but I seriously think that Zach Ertz is pretty much gone. And then Dallas Goedert is 1 year away from a contract, which you'll probably get, but you still like running 2 tight end sets. And I mean, if you have 2 dynamic play threats in that, in Pitts and Goddard, whew, it's a lot better than having a good wide receiver on the outside. If you can tear apart the middle, most middle linebackers are not going to be able to cover Pitts and Goddard. Even Levante David could take Goddard and maybe you can. I mean, Levante David's going to be retired eventually, anyways. But like the only team I could really think of that could do that is the Bucks with Devin White and Levante David. But I think even Pitts could deal with Devin White. So realistically, I'm a huge fan of that pick. Detroit getting Jamar Chase, that's an absolutely wonderful pick. They did just bring in Tyrell Williams. There we go. So that's solid, but they're definitely it does show I don't like reading this stuff because I want to show you guys what I think, but it does show that they are in the mood to go out and get some more weapons for Jared Goff. Marcus took Rashawn Slater here, and to be honest, the more I watch Rashawn Slater, the more I think he could be in this like top 10 right here. The guy definitely doesn't look like he lacks that much length. Maybe enough to where it's a little bit of a question mark, but I mean, I'm telling you, that guy, as a guy who played offensive line, I would want Rashawn Slater on my team. That's all I gotta say. Next, we got the Dolphins getting Devontae. So, I mean, it's a lot better getting Devontae here than at 3, but I mean, if we're gonna be 100% honest, guys, it's like your left tackle spot's still kind of fucked. I mean, Austin Jackson should be moving to right tackle because you should be getting a true left tackle to be pretty damn good. Robert Hunt back to guard where he should have been. And then you have Ted Karras eventually get released or something. You can even keep Ted Karras if you want. But like the idea that we're giving up Penei Sewell to get maybe a first in Devontae Smith doesn't always sit well with me, especially if we could get Bateman at our 18th spot, who just apparently ran a 4.3 something, or like a 4.39 in his EXO combine. So I think that with that being said, I'm really not a fan of the trade anymore from Miami. And I actually knew that this was the trade, but I wanted to let you guys know again, there's no reason to sell out for Tua. You sell out for your franchise, not for Tua. And Tua's not the franchise yet. So I don't think Tua would complain about getting bookend left tackle that is arguably one of the best, if not the best in the league. Kind of like a Laramie Tunsil situation. So next, the Niners jump ahead and trade with the Broncos. Very interesting. So NFC West trades with an AFC West team to get Mac Jones. And I think this is kind of ridiculous. I'm not a fan of it, really. You're pretty much just getting another Jimmy Garoppolo when you're not happy with Jimmy Garoppolo. Doesn't really make sense for me if you're giving up all that draft capital. Again, if you traded up and took Rashawn Slater here, that's fine. That's perfectly fine to me. I'd 100% be in support of that because you guys need a line desperately. You need a right guard desperately. You could probably use a replacement center desperately. Even your head scout doesn't believe that you're bringing back Trent Williams, so you need left tackle desperately. So I don't really like this idea because you have such good offensive linemen in this class, and I'm not a fan of Mac Jones, to be honest. I'm not a fan. I'm not a hater on him at all. I still have him as a late first. So it is okay if I see a team take him here if he's a perfect fit. But do you just want to get a downgraded Jimmy G again? It just doesn't make any sense. Really doesn't. Next, we got the Cowboys getting Surtain. And I mean, as long as you get good safety help, the speed will be neglected. And to be honest, Patrick Surtain's 40 time is going to be a huge thing to look out for. We just saw apparently today it's unofficial, of course, but the numbers float around 4.26, 4.24 for a man named Eric Stokes, my favorite zone corner in the class. So, Indianapolis, I'm gonna just say it right now before we get to Indy pick. That could be a sneaky first round pick for Indy. Just saying. Next, the Giants are going Waddle here, and I'm a big fan. Big fan. I've turned into a Waddle supporter. I actually had Ruggs as my lowest graded wide receiver out of the four. When I looked at it, I would pull it up for you guys. I'll do that in the future. I have my original grading sheet, and I said the entire damn Bama wide receiver core, all first round grades, but I had Jerry Jeudy as a top 10 guy. This was before he had drop issues, so he dropped for me a little bit. No pun intended. Then I had Devontae Smith. Yes, before when people were saying Devontae was a third round guy, Adam is top 15 in the class. And then I had Jalen Waddle right behind him. And that's before I realized that Devontae Smith was a beanpole, but B couldn't put on weight. Jalen Waddle to me was just such a beast, and he took off. He changed, and he was better than Henry Ruggs, who was apparently the worst out of all these guys. So big fan of that. Next, the Broncos are getting Caleb Farley, and dude, I mean, for the Broncos, it's a great trade. If the Niners traded up and took Rashawn Slater, I think this would be a win for both teams. I'm going to be honest. I think it's a win for both teams, especially with people thinking that the Cowboys are going to be getting an offensive lineman here. That would be logical. That'd be 100% logical, and I'd be a fan of this because some teams are going to be scared shitless of Farley. So honestly, I'm a big fan of this trade under that condition. But given the fact that the Niners trade up for that, I like the idea, just not the full execution. Chargers going Rashawn Slater. I mean, by the way I saw him play, I wouldn't mind it too much. But I will say this. I'd much rather go Darsaw here. Not Cosme. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I had him as a top 20 player in the class, especially after I just did a report on him. You guys can follow me on Twitter to see when I drop reports and stuff. Very in-depth reports. I try to put a lot of effort into them. And I'm a bigger fan of Darsaw than I am Cosme or Cosme, whatever you guys want to call him. I call him Cosme, and then I hear Marcus call him Cosme and Cosme. I don't even know anymore. But Samuel Cosme he's just consistent. I wouldn't say that he's amazing in any aspect. I just think he's really consistently solid. Darsaw is just an absolute animal. And Rashawn Slater is amazing too. I would just say I'd rather go Darsaw and then get a Creed Humphrey or even a Landon Dickerson or a Josh Myers in the second than a Rashawn Slater here, who we don't know if he can play left tackle. That's just like that's my own little minor caveat here, but I'm a huge fan of Rashawn Slater. After watching some of his tape, he just looks so fluid and so good with his movement. I was a fan of Cosme's movement, and I'm telling you, this guy moves better than I've ever seen like any lineman move. He's so quick, very quick twitch. Vikings getting Kwity Paye. I mean, I'm fine with it. You know, they definitely need to get the pass rush in there. I wouldn't hate it too much. Maybe Gregory Rousseau wouldn't be a bad option here. The more I think about it, Rousseau, when I heard about his interview on the 2-for-1, this is a great place to trade back. I know Minnesota has all these 4th round picks and shit, but I mean, if you're able to trade back and offer one of your 4ths to be able to get maybe a 1st next year, like you can trade back. Let's see, the Parsons is here. So let's just see if a team like the Dolphins want to move up. I would say Minnesota can trade this pick along with 2 of their 4ths, with the Dolphins for their first round this year and maybe one of the second rounds, because you're trading 2/4 to be able to basically get the value of like half a second, and then they can use the other half of the second to move up. Just an idea, because then you could get Quay Pay down there. It's just I think that I'm honestly just it's meh. It's meh. I'm a fan of Quiddy, but he didn't have that great of a year. So, I mean, I like the idea that he is able to develop as a pass rusher, and he was able to introduce new moves, which is great. I'm a big fan of that. New England getting Micah. This is interesting to me because I think they do need more weapons than anything, but it's just it's way too good of value to pass up. I will give it that. Micah is an absolute stud. He's my number 6 guy on the board, even factoring in his personality. So big fan of that. Just the idea that I think the Patriots need to build up on offense a little bit more. They're getting a lot of guys returning on the defense, and yeah, I really think that they should go offensive weapon there, but you can't deny the talent. J.C. Horn to the Cardinals. I'm fine with it. It's a good pick. He's young, grabby. He's pretty damn solid. So if you potentially lose Patrick Peterson, this is even more of a great pick. But even if you bring Peterson back, you can have an elite secondary with J.C. Horn, Patrick Peterson, as well as J.C. Wait, did I say J.C. Horn, Patrick Peterson, as well as Byron Murphy? There we go. Las Vegas Raiders going JOK. I mean, it's okay. No pun intended. It's okay. But he definitely is more of a rangy guy. If you do want to use him in more of that safety role, okay. But I honestly think that if you get a guy, if you get a pass rusher here, you can look at an Azeez Ojulari. You can look at I'm bugging. Why am I bugging on the Texan guy named Joseph Asai? And then add in a safety like Ardarius Washington in the third. I think that'd pretty much get better value at each position, like each positional value, than getting JOK here. I'm just a little bit worried about JOK. He definitely has some amazing athleticism, but he's 215 pounds, and that's really scary to me. Some safeties are heavier than that. So, especially given his size, 6'1", is a little bit scary to me. But I am a fan of his potential. So next we got the Dolphins getting Vera Tucker, and I don't think they need guard. I think they need to get center. I like the idea of taking offensive line. I think they need to get a center and a left tackle. So I think that Robert Hunt should be moving back to guard. Don't need a guard then. Then you need one tackle spot. So there's still Cosme on the board. You could take Cosme at this spot. You could kick Austin Jackson to right tackle, Robert Hunt back in. You have Ted Karras here, which you probably should replace, but you don't need to. And then you have the former revolving door Eric Flowers, and then you have a guy like Cosme. That's an excellent line there. But for me, getting AVT is kind of in the middle. I don't think that's really a need that you should probably have. Kadarius Toney to Washington with a guy. Well, also Darsaw. Holy shit, Darsaw's still on the board. That should have easily been Darsaw, by the way. With a guy like Rashad Bateman on the board, I think Kadarius Toney is going to be definitely under him, given the fact that if we can see an actual official time, even if it's 4.4 flat, Kadarius Toney will be probably running slower than that. He's just way quicker. I think his 3 cone is going to be amazing, but his 40 is going to be like in the higher 4.4s, which is still solid. And it's a good gadget weapon, but I think that it's scary if you get a Justin Jefferson type of player, Rashad Bateman, and then you have Scary Terry there, rather than getting Kadarius Toney. If in the second you want to go balls to the wall and get a Rondale Moore, wonderful. You want to get Dwayne Eskridge, who is also similar to that guy with the ball in his hands. He's dangerous. Do it. But I think that getting a gadget player right here, it's okay. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I just think there's better options. Bears getting Darsaw, that'd just, oh my goodness, that'd be great. Colts getting Rousseau. I understand the potential here, but I think they're in win now mode. I think you got to get a guy like Cosme here. You got to get a left tackle, or you got to get a corner like Eric Stokes, who is now extremely risen up everybody's board, given the fact that, I mean, you can't mess it up by over a tenth of a second. Even if you ran 4.34, 4.36, that's absolutely insane, let alone the 4.2s. Next, Tennessee takes Jalen Phillips. Again, I have some big red flags with his injury history, with concussions, with him wanting to quit football. That is going to be pushing him down a lot of boards. I'm going to be honest, that's going to be pushing him into the second round. Very unrealistic. And again, I think that if we want to kiss Harold Landry goodbye, I think maybe we can. It's like, I think that given the Titans cap situation, they don't really have enough money to bring back a lot of people anyways. Probably going after a guy like Osai here would be a pretty good option. Jets getting Azeez Ojulari. Now, this is something I don't understand. If they wanted to flip these picks, perfectly fine. This is a 4.3. I don't like the idea of him being like a more of a outside linebacker in a 4-3. So I'm just not really a huge fan of it, if we're going to be 100% honest here. Pittsburgh getting Najee at 24. I mean, dude, there's still Cosby on the board, Cosme, whatever you want to call them. There's still Redunes. There's some guys still left on the board that are really good. Eichenberg as well. The Steelers' problem wasn't the run game as much as the fact that they could never establish the run game in the first place because they didn't have a line. They didn't have jack shit. Ben performed a lot better when his line did well. I remember there was some game, I forgot which one. It was like closer to the end of the year. I think it was against the Colts where he came back and it was like the first half with he was under pressure a lot of this. You look at the numbers. Then like second half had like no pressure and had insane numbers. You got to protect Ben, especially since you just gave him an extent contract tweak, as well as the fact that I mean, if you really want to, Steelers have been pretty mediocre at picking up later round running backs. I think that they could probably hit on one. This is not the time to get a guy with no tread on his tires. You're selling out for Ben, who's going to retire soon. You need to think about your future. Get a tackle here, especially if Cosme's on the board, and just rock with that. Next, we're looking at Morig to the Jags. I mean, it's a need. It's definitely a need. So, wouldn't mind it at all. I just think again, there's guys like Cosme, Reduns, Eichenberg on the board. You could just try to protect Lawrence and then do something. I think Lawrence will have a heavy input on this pick, given the fact that he will be their franchise. Next, the Cleveland Browns getting Zaven Collins, huge fan of this. If you can use him as a pass rusher as well and use him in coverage, I mean, this is an amazing upgrade. I think JOK fits this team best because they do definitely need more of a rangy guy who, I mean, the division is more speed run than power run. I think that would just be a great option for the Browns, but not there. Baltimore getting Terrace Marshall, not a bad pick given the fact that they could probably use him in the right way. But again, he does get destroyed on in the run game. And that's a little bit scary to me. If you can't run to his, if you cannot run to his side, then that's a big issue. That's a big issue with a running team with a glorified running back who can throw the ball in Lamar Jackson. Saints getting Joe Tryon. I mean, no. It's like, why? I don't get it. They run a 4-3 if I'm not mistaken, and Joe Tryon's a 3-4 outside linebacker. And then you still got guys like Nick Bolton on the board. You still have corners on the board who could fit in very well on this team, like Asante Samuel, who did do a Zoom meeting with the Saints. Not a fan of it. In the Packers game, Levi Onwuzurike. I mean, you guys still have Asante Samuel on the board, Tyson Campbell on the board. There's still guys all over the board. There's still, not to mention Nick Bolton on the board. I don't get it. I really don't get it. You really think Levi Onwuzurike, you're going back to back with Washington guys who didn't even play this year? Weird. Buffalo Bills getting ETN, so you're just getting a slight upgrade over the guys. You're bringing, it's the same idea as the Niners, but kind of the opposite. ETN's an upgrade over Moss and whoever they have there right now, Singletary. But it's like you're not getting that much extra value. If you get a guy like a Javonte Williams here and use him RBBC, okay, I got you. I'm with you on that. But it's like, why? It's kind of a wasted pick to me. Nick Bolton for the Chiefs, though, that's a good pick. It's a really good pick. Also, there's Jalen Mayfield on the board and Tevin Jenkins, by the way. So a team like the Bills who could definitely use a Tevin Jenkins, another idea. And Tampa Bay ending off the draft with Jamin Davis. So the question is, will they keep Levante David? That's the biggest question right now. If they keep Levante David, even Jamin Davis might be a good option to take regardless. But I mean, Davis, apparently I've heard some really good things about him. So wouldn't mind this too much. Apparently they're really set on bringing back Shaq Barrett, which again, he's flourished in their scheme. But we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens for sure. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. Honestly, Mel didn't destroy me in this one. He had some stupid pick here and there, but you know, nobody's really going to be drafting with too much logic here. Everybody's draft is going to be different, but it's fun to have some variability and to talk about it. And guys like Jamin Davis, there's something that's fun that actually can make sense. So let me know what you guys think. I thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the far side. Peace.